Okay, so now I want to show you something which is really cool with Onshape, and I'm going to want you to do it with just a couple of different pieces, maybe say 4 of them. All right. So I've been playing with chess pieces. You guys have made a couple. I've made a couple different ones as well, and I've already made this board. I think we all have hopefully made this by now. So we actually want to place those chess pieces onto the board. Okay. So to do that, we have to move to an assembly. Okay. If for some reason you don't have assembly down here, you can always click on the plus sign and add assembly to it. But I got an assembly, all right? So now I need to bring in pieces. So if I click on to import, it'll probably default to whichever one part studio you were working on. So I'm going to import my chess board, okay? And there we go. So we've got the chess board, and I'm going to place it right here in the middle of my field. Now I need to go ahead and get some pieces, and they're not going to be on here. They're going to be someplace else. So let's go to Other Documents, and in fact I've made a few different ones here, and we can actually, go to that home icon, and I can see ones that are owned by me and created by me and shared with me, and I can upload and download pieces. I can do a search and actually get things that other people have created. But I'm going to go with owned by me, and then I'm going to go to chess pieces. And I think I just created this knight. And I'll go ahead now and import that one first, because that was just in the last video that I did. And I'm going to create a version of knight, and I'll create it. And I'm going to select it. I'm just going to stick it off to the side for the moment. Okay? So there's my knight. All right, let's go get another piece. Let's go to some chess pieces that I've made in the past. How about this? We'll do this pawn here. And I'm going to select that. I'm going to put it down. I'll put it down over here. Let's grab another piece. Let's go. How about this rook? Okay. And I'll select it, and I'll put it down here. All right, that'll be enough to play with. So first off, I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my pieces. This rook is way too big. If you go down here, you can see those new pieces that you've just created. They're going to be down at the bottom of this long list of parts. And you can see that as I move over on the highlights. So I'm going to double click on my rook, and oddly enough it's just below my icon here for the recording. So actually I'm going to double click on my pawn, okay, because I can't get to my rook right now without pausing the video. So let's double click the pawn, and let's say for example it's going to open it up and it's going to work it into a playing field. So I can do any one of a number of things with this pawn. I can actually select my pawn, which is this, and then I can change its color. I can change it to something else if I want to. Let's make it a darker brown, for example. Okay, and I'm going to say OK on that. I could also scale it. So that pawn's actually kind of big for a pawn. So I'm going to click on my pawn, and then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to find transform. And then what I have to do is I have to choose, it's selected the part. What I want to do is I think I want to scale it, and then it's looking for some place that I can scale it to. So I'm going to click on this point right here, and then I'm going to make it, I don't know, let's say 0.7. Okay, and it's going to make my part smaller. Okay, now this is important up here. It doesn't look like a button, but it is. See, it says creative version and update in assembly. So I've created a version here. I've made this a little smaller, and now I want to update it in the assembly. Okay, and now you can see my part has changed color and gotten smaller. I do wish I could select that. Maybe if I get it just below. I'm going to try it. Oh, there we go. I'm going to do the same thing with my rook. I'm going to click it. I'm going to select that part. I'm going to change its color a little bit. Let's make it that darker color. Say OK. And now I'm going to select that part again. and I'm going to transform it. What happened to my there it is. It was actually in this pull down here. So I'm going to transform it. I want to scale it, and I'm going to need some sort of point or origin, and let's see, let's go with right there. I could choose any one of them. Go there, and then let's scale it down to point. I'm going to take it down pretty far. I'm going to take it down to 0.5. And you can see my rook has scaled down. I say OK. And once again, it's important that I actually update the assembly. And boom. Okay. So now let's stick these pieces on the board. And we have a number of different ways of mating things up. Okay. So all these are different mates. Now, if you were building an engine and you wanted to get cylinders inside the bore of the engine, you'd probably choose a revolution mate or some other sort of a slider mate to make it slide inside an existing hole or cylinder. In this particular case, I simply want to fasten it, okay, and or mate connector. I'll go with a fasten mate. And now what I do is I scroll and I find, for example, the bottom of this, and I click it, and then I go to the board, and then I click on, for example, the tile, and it'll mate it. Keep in mind I can revolve it, so if I'm making pieces for the other side, I could do that. Okay? And I will actually now take this part. Well, let's get these pieces up here mated. So I'm going to go to the fasten mate. I'm going to select that. And I'll put it right here. Maybe I did make them too small. Well, that's okay. Do that. And then we're going to do a fasten mate here. Boom. And we'll put him right there. Okay. Cool. So obviously I've scaled my parts a little too wrong. You can double back and rescale them as you need. But what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a linear copy of these parts. So that pawn, for example, is this. Okay, I'm going to highlight it. And then what I want to do is I want to assemble it in a linear pattern. I want to choose my direction, which is going to be here. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to put my distance. Remember my tiles were 20 millimeters. So I'm going to make that 20. Okay. And then I also need to switch directions. Okay. And then what I need to do is tell me how many of them I need. Well, there are 8 pieces or 8 pawns. So if I go like that, we should see 8 of them line up absolutely beautiful, and we've got our pawns all lined up. Okay? And I could do the same with the rook. I can select it. I go down here, I find the rook. Okay? This one's going to take me a little bit more thought to think about its placement, but I'll do it. I've highlighted it. I'm going to make a linear assembly of it. So this would be 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. So we're going to move it 140 millimeters, and we're going to flip its direction, and whoops, and select my direction. I'm so sorry. Get my direction. I want to select that axis, and there we go. And we now have that piece. Okay? So you can see that I can quickly create a chess set with various pieces, and I can move them in different orientations and place them different places on the board. Let me pause it 1 second, and I'll put a couple more pieces on there. Hold on a second. I suppose I should show you how to make the pieces on the other side. It's really pretty easy. We'll just go ahead and do it real fast. So let's say I want to make another rook. All right, so I can select that part. I can literally just Control-C, copy, and then you'll see my 1 over here. I can click and just Control-V, and now I've got a piece right there that I can manipulate. And it created a new one down here. So if I double-click this, it's going to take me back to that editor. And I can select the part, and I can come over here to the Parts Appearance panel, and I can click it, and I can choose a new color. Okay, you can see I already did it once. I'll choose, say, this sort of light brownish color right here. Say OK. And now, if I go to here, Create Version and Update Assembly, it's going to take that new piece, change its color, and now I can go back to my mating tool, my fasten tool. I can select it, give it a moment. There we go. And now I go over here and I select the surface. Okay? And we can say that is good. Okay? So it's pretty fast and easy to create something like this. What I'd like you to do is create me a board with at least 4 different pieces. I have 3 of them here. But boy, if you made the whole one, that would be really cool. And we'll be done with this sort of virtual assembly stuff, and you'll get a little bit of a feel for the kind of cool things that you can do with SketchUp. And this is, with Onshape. And this is just the most basic introduction. Okay? So hopefully I'll see you again soon, and there you have it.